If you've been training hard in the gym but still feel like your results aren't matching the effort you're putting in, there's a good chance you're falling into a trap many lifters don't even realize exists: junk volume. In the bodybuilding world, this term refers to training that eats up your time and energy without giving you meaningful returns in muscle or strength. In other words, it's volume that just doesn't work. Now, volume itself just means the amount of work you're doing, typically measured in the number of hard-working sets. But when that work stops being effective, it turns into what we call junk, like garbage volume that's just cluttering up your routine. And there's good evidence from science and experience that junk volume is not only real, but it's holding a lot of people back from seeing the gains they deserve. So in this video, I want to break down what junk volume actually looks like, give you real examples and show you how to avoid it, so that your time in the gym is working for you, not against you. Let's kick things off with the most common form of junk volume: excessive volume in a single workout. Say you're training chest, and you start with a flat dumbbell press. After a warm-up, you perform your first working set, 8 to 10 reps, close to failure. That's a solid set. The muscles being stretched and contracted under load, creating mechanical tension, the #1 driver of hypertrophy. That's what we call effective volume. Now, if you do a second or even a third hard set, those can also be productive. But what if you do 10 sets? Do you really get 10 times the growth? Unlikely. In fact, you'll eventually hit a point of diminishing returns, where each additional set contributes less and less, until it becomes virtually worthless. That's the point where effective volume starts turning into junk volume. To find out where this threshold lies, let's look at a meta-analysis from James Krieger. He pooled data from 9 studies on training volume and muscle growth. The takeaway? Up to around 6 sets per muscle group in a single workout, there's clear benefit. Go beyond that, and the gains begin to stall, or even reverse slightly. Your body just can't recover fast enough from that much volume in one session. Now, I want to be clear. This doesn't mean you should only do 6 sets per week. I still stand by the guideline that 10 to 20 hard sets per muscle per week is a solid target. But per workout, 6 sets is a smart upper limit, especially if those sets are close to failure. So, back to our chest day example. Let's say you do 3 sets of dumbbell presses and 3 sets of incline flies. Great. But if you tack on 3 more sets of machine press, plus 3 sets of push-ups, you're likely drifting into junk volume territory. A better strategy would be to spread that volume across the week. Do 6 sets today, then another 6 in a second session later on. That way, your recovery stays on point and your sets stay productive. Now, a few important caveats. First, that 6-set limit is an average. Some people can handle more, others might need less. Genetics, nutrition, stress, sleep, all of these play a role. Think of 6 as a smart starting point, not a hard rule. Monitor your progress and recovery, then adjust accordingly. Second, how hard you train matters. If you're pushing every set close to failure, say within 0 to 3 reps of failure, then 6 sets can be plenty. But if you're stopping short, you might be able to handle a few more. And that brings us to the second type of junk volume: easy sets. This one's really common, especially in commercial gyms. Studies show that when lifters select their own weights, they often underestimate what they can do. In one study, participants picked a weight they thought they could lift for 10 reps, but when asked to go all out, only 22% actually hit failure between reps 10 and 12. Almost half were able to do 16 to 20 plus reps, meaning they were leaving 6 or more reps in the tank. Now, while leaving a couple reps in reserve isn't terrible, and can still build muscle sets that are way too easy, contribute little, and just burn time. That's junk volume. You're better off doing fewer, harder sets than lots of easy ones. Make sure most of your hypertrophy sets are within that 0-3 RIR range, and don't be afraid to go to failure, especially on isolation movements or the last set of a muscle group. The third kind of junk volume I want to touch on is ultra-high rep training. Think sets of 50 reps or more. These are often promoted in burnout circuits or finisher sets, and while they might get you sweating and sore, they're not optimal for muscle growth. Research shows that even when you train to failure, sets using very light weights, around 20% of your 1 RM, just don't stimulate the muscle the same way as heavier sets. Plus, high rep sets cause more muscle damage and soreness, which can interfere with recovery and hold back your performance in subsequent workouts. In short, if you're routinely doing sets over 40 or 50 reps, consider bumping up the weight and bringing the reps back down into the 8 to 30 range for hypertrophy. That'll give you more stimulus with less fatigue. So to wrap this up, junk volume is real, and it could be the silent killer of your gains. Whether it's piling on too many sets in one workout, not training close enough to failure, or chasing unnecessary high-rep burnouts, these mistakes are more common than you might think. And they can add up to a lot of wasted time and energy. To avoid junk volume, remember, cap your sets per muscle per workout around 6-8 for most body parts, a bit higher for bigger muscles like the back, glutes, and quads. Train hard, not just long. Most of your sets should be within 0-3 reps of failure. Ditch the fluff. Save the 50 rep sets and focus on quality over quantity. Finally, understand that your volume needs will shift over time. Beginners can grow on lower volume. As you become more advanced, you'll need more. But more doesn't mean mindless. Thanks so much for watching. Drop a like if this helped. Subscribe for more no-nonsense training content, and I'll catch you in the next one.